So in this segment, we're going to be talking about the government always knew the Northern Ireland Protocol was a quote bad deal. So what this person is claiming is that the government always knew the going into the Northern Ireland Protocol was always going to be a bad agreement because of the impact it would have. So with these arguments that they didn't know what's going to happen, etc., blah blah blah, simply lies, according to this person anyway. So this is about Theresa May's former chief of staff, who is pretty sure it's not true that the government underestimated the impact of the Northern Ireland Protocol when it agreed to it. The protocol is the part of the Northern Ireland Protocol the protocol is the thing that creates the trade border within the Irish Sea. Brexit Minister Lord Frost wrote that he had underestimated the impact when, according to Theresa May's former chief of staff, he knew the impact. They can't deny it. But Lord Barlow said Boris Johnson's government knew it was a bad deal. They agreed to it to get Brexit done, he argued. So it makes sense that Lord Barlow does make a lot of sense here, because the government would have always known the Northern Ireland Protocol would have problems, especially given how much GB exports to NI, not to mention the fact that the DUP are the majority party there. So they always knew this was going to be a bad idea, but they went through it anyways because he was desperate for that general election win. Boris Johnson's a short-term kind of guy. He just wants to get through the next week. He doesn't care about anything else. Lord Barwell was Miss May's senior advisor from 2017 to 2019 and was heavily involved in her Brexit policy. So they would have discussed the idea of this kind of trade border within the Irish Sea, and they probably realised it's a bad idea, hence why they went for Theresa May's withdrawal agreement, which was the entirety of GB stays within the single market and customs union until there is some sort of solution to the sort of Northern Ireland border situation, which is never going to happen because there is no country in the world that has a technological border solution. So Barwell added that in his view, the Johnson government had intended to wriggle out of the protocol later, and this fits into what we know that Boris Johnson's been trying to do. The government have been taking unilateral actions and have been trying to get the Northern Ireland Protocol scrapped or suspended or whatever, constantly threatening things like Article 16, constantly sort of saying Northern Ireland's place was in GB and, we're sovereign and all of this stuff. So it does look like it's the case that Boris Johnson didn't think the EU would hang on so tightly, and they probably thought that the EU would throw Ireland under the bus, which the EU are not going to do by the looks of things. So again, the EU are going to hold Britain to the to the Northern Ireland Protocol as much as Boris Johnson is trying to wriggle out of it. A UK government impact assessment published shortly before the protocol was agreed in 2019 did say that businesses could expect additional costs and complexity when moving goods from Great Britain to Northern Ireland, which they are absolutely facing because of the we've spoken previously about the amount of paperwork you need to do just to get just to move meats and stuff from GB to France or GB to NI. So much paperwork, and it's paperwork that has to be done on both sides. That's another problem. Frost, who negotiated the protocol, wrote in the Financial Times that the UK was implementing it and that the EU needed to show less legal purism. Are you saying that the EU shouldn't hold us to the agreement that we agreed to? Because if that's the case, you're stupid. If you have a contract with someone and they're breaching parts of the contract, you're absolutely going to hold them accountable to it. This kind of argument about legal purism is just so stupid. They're trying to argue that the EU is kind of being pedantic and kind of being tricky and stuff like that, when the EU are just saying, look, you agreed to this protocol, just stick with it. Do the checks you're meant to do, and if there are any issues, we can talk through it. So who's this from? Is this from Frost? Yeah, Frost added the EU needed a new playbook for dealing with neighbours. The EU doesn't need a new playbook for dealing with neighbours. The EU has been dealing with neighbours, hostile neighbours for a long time, like Russia. So this argument the EU needs a new playbook is ridiculous. One that involves pragmatic solutions between friends. We are not acting like friends. If we were friends, we wouldn't be taking unilateral actions. We are a hostile nation. We are a pirate nation. That's what we are. We are breaking the rules. We don't care. So this argument that we are friends, we are not friends. If you could have argued we were friends before you guys started taking loads of unilateral actions. The EU weren't even prepared for the UK's unilateral actions because they didn't think we'd do anything as stupid, because they believed we were friends. And now other countries see how Britain treats its friends. Not the imposition of one side's rules on the other side and legal purism. The thing is, pal, one side, they're not imposing rules on us. We have agreed to this. This is not the rules of a dictator or a conqueror. This is the rules that you agreed to in order to get Brexit done and to win into the 2019 general election. You didn't think anyone would hold you accountable. Now you have. You had affluenza your whole life, and now you've got a power that is going to hold you accountable, and you can't deal with it. You don't know what you're doing. UK officials believe that the possible viable solutions are in sight for perhaps two issues, with partial solutions possible in maybe half a dozen areas. Again, that's very nebulous. What are they talking about? Both sides are still far apart on the majority of issues, particularly the possibility of an agri-food agreement. This is something we've spoken about a lot, where the UK want an equivalency deal similar to the deal between EU and New Zealand, and the EU want us to have a dynamic alignment deal similar to the EU and Switzerland, which makes sense because the UK cannot be trusted when it comes to things like an equivalency deal. So Ireland's Foreign Minister Coveney tweeted that Lord Frost had continued to lay blame for difficulty with the protocol on the EU's inflexibility, but that this is simply not the case. And he's right here. Coveney is right that it's not down to some quote EU inflexibility. The EU have given us things like grace periods. It's the fact that the UK still haven't got the staff or the border facilities to deal with all the checks. That's the main problem, and the fact that we're constantly threatening to take actions against the EU, that doesn't help, and that's not going to foster goodwill in order for you to get extensions and things like that. So stop being stupid. Sefcovic and the EU have consistently proposed new solutions. He added, "Is this about media messaging in the UK?" Which absolutely it is just about media messaging. Telling the DUP basically that, look, we are going to stand by you and blah blah blah. The Northern Ireland is part of GB and all this stuff. You guys need to calm down. We're with you all the way and stuff like that. That's not helping the situation, is it? It's helping to inflame tensions because these people think that if violence starts kicking off, the British government is going to go in there with troops and police to help the situation out, and that's going to further inflame the tensions. That's what they think is going to happen, and I genuinely don't know if the UK would do that if violence started flaring up soon, because marching season is coming up. Coveney goes on to say, is this about media messaging or really solving problems together? Well, the UK is kind of looking at trying to solve problems together by asking for an extension to grace periods, but what happens after the 3 months when the grace periods are up? That's another problem. In response to that, Arlene Foster, the former leader of the DUP, tweeted, "Coveney is just parroting EU Commission briefings." Well, is he though? I don't think he is. Which suggested he was not interested in attempts to find solutions. I would wager to say that there are, out of all of the EU kind of leaders, I would wager that people, Coveney's party or the coalition government within Ireland are absolutely invested in finding solutions, because if violence kicks off again, it could easily spill over to Ireland. Not to mention the fact that I think Ireland, in my opinion, sees the people within Northern Ireland as Irish. So if violence starts kicking off within Northern Ireland, they see that as violence being perpetrated against their fellow countrymen, Irish people. I don't know how controversial that is to say, and if I'm wrong, then mention it in the comments. I'll accept being wrong on that one. But so this argument that Coveney doesn't really care is just a load of nonsense from Arlene Foster. Arlene Foster, who sees Northern Ireland as British and very far separated from Ireland, despite the fact that they live on the same physical island. So again, it's a load of rubbish from Coveney, and we've already seen the concerns from the Irish governments in the past. So the last thing I think Ireland wants is the return of the Troubles, a return to violence. So yeah, Arlene Foster's full of rubbish, but nothing new there. But what we can gather from this article is the fact that the government always knew that the Northern Ireland Protocol was a bad idea, but they desperately needed it because it was the only way for them to get, quote, Brexit done. So they sacrificed Ireland to get it done, and all of the consequences of the violence is on them. And they can't claim that they didn't know, because they did know. They were warned. There was impact assessments. Theresa May probably warned Boris Johnson, what you're doing is a very, very stupid idea. She even said that her Brexit deal was better than his because, it avoids any problems within Northern Ireland. So, again, it's just ridiculous what's going on here. Anyways, look, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.